Hey there, in today's video I'm going to preview the marathon des Chateaux du Méroc 2025. I'm making this video because I'm running the marathon des Chateaux du Méroc. Apologies for the terrible French. I'm running that with my friend Chris Baily as a guide runner, but we'll also have Bev as a guide runner. And that's really cool because it doesn't put too much pressure on me. I have a knee injury. Today is the 6th, hang on, what day is today? Today is Sunday, yeah, the 6th of July, 2025. We're about a month, 2 months out. I think it's the first week in September that we're running. I've had a niggling knee injury, comes and goes. I think I might need another arthroscopy on my right knee. So far, so good. I'm out running a 21K today, or half marathon, related to my James Joyce study. So if I pan around, you'll see the James Joyce Tower somewhere in the background and Sandy Cove in Dublin. I'm making that video. I'm testing this new Suunto watch, doing a lot of things today. A bit worried about the knee, but I've got 17 marathons in the right knee after my last arthroscopy. So I'm worried about it, but it's on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 2. I'd prefer if it was better. Sometimes I get very intense pain, I have to slow down, stop almost, and then it just goes away. Again, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to running this particular marathon, the longest marathon in the world, they say, because you might stagger around through French vineyards. We'll have to come up with a plan for that. Chris, Bev and I will have a plan for how much alcohol we'll consume at what stages. And yeah, looking forward to that, but for the moment it seems like light years away. Today is Friday the 22nd of August, and I will be running Le Marathon des Chateaux du Médoc, struggling to get the name right, in 2 weeks and 1 day, and I am ill prepared. Today I had a long Teams call, an hour, with Chris, who I'm the guide runner for. The audio was terrible. I couldn't put you through it. Even after I made Chris change his shirt because he didn't realize he was going to be on camera. Anyway, we had a go and we went through some various things, and I'm going to try and recap. The summer for me, I have had a niggling knee injury, which seems to have sort of gone away, partly because I managed it by, I found in lower drop shoes, less torsion on my knees when turning corners, probably a bit of luck, maybe a bit of restraint, maybe a bit of voodoo, but it seems so far to be fine. I had a back problem, that seems to have gone away. I'm running out of excuses. So the only excuse I have left is Chris. Chris has had an injury. He has had an ankle injury. It's pretty bad, actually, but he's hoping to be able to run it. But we're going to go anyway. We get on. We'll have good fun. We're looking forward to it.
I will be, not in peak marathon shape in 2 weeks' time. That's for sure.
Well, I'm not Chris's only guide runner. Bev is also guide running, and that takes a bit of pressure off me, possibly a little bit of pressure off Chris, and piles a whole heap onto Bev because she can speak French. So something drastic goes wrong. Anyway, it's going to be fun. This marathon is very hard to get into. It's really random. I'm getting in once again, thanks to knowing Chris, because they have a sort of lottery system, and it's a very popular marathon. It's one of the world's most popular marathons as far as I can see. And they announced that the tickets are going to go on sale in a particular week, but they don't tell the time. You hang on as best you can. As Chris said, he can't be doing all of that while at work. We missed out that cut. And then they announced a second one. I think we missed out on that cut. And we're getting through because of Chris is visually impaired and I'm his guide runner. That's effectively what's happening. And the organizers have been brilliant to deal with on that score, I have to say. It's an interesting marathon in that we will be running around various vineyards. Chris and I spent about an hour talking tactics. Assuming we're both fit and able. There is a broom, there's a sweep in this, but it seems to be 6.5 hours, which isn't, we should easily do this in 6.5 hours. It could be very warm. It is in early September in France on a Saturday near Bordeaux. it could be really, really warm. So we're not looking for a long or a stellar performance here. We're looking to get through it. My kind of loose plan was to get ahead to 30k when you're getting really tired, then start sampling a little bit of wine, because there's wine tasting all the way along. There's also, I'll put screenshots up here of various different things, and I might run through a couple of them. But you get various different things that they go through. I'll go through the various documents, but it's quite an unusual marathon. It's also fancy dress, and Chris told me he's wearing a costume. Now my costume says guide runner, visual. I've forgotten what the title on my my thing is, but I've got some Vision Sports Ireland. I've got a fluorescence, because people have to be aware that we're running together so they don't bump into us. Particularly as they're going to be, twisted, some of them, and barging in and off me and Chris could be the game of the day. But apparently it's also fancy dress, and Chris told me he's got a costume. The theme is something to do with the sea. I was shamed into this because I'm not really a fancy dress person. But I'm wearing, I've ordered a cap from Amazon that might work. And I have the running trousers that I really like, or running shorts by Otso, which are fake jeans. They look like jeans, but they're actually Lycra, and they're incredibly comfortable. Gonna do those. I usually with Chris, I wear a running vest, a hydration jacket. In the heat, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to try and run something light. Possibly, I'll have this Vision Sports Ireland thing over singlet anyway, which is warm enough. And I will probably try and stop places. Chris and I usually don't stop because of the visual impairment. But we actually would like to sample some of the weird stuff. And so there's that. So all of that is in the mix. But there are a couple of interesting things about this marathon. One is this: you have to fill in a PPS form. Now, in Ireland, PPS is like your social security card, but in France, it's Parcours Prevention. My French is terrible. I just pretend it's English. Parcours Prevention Santé. Anyway, it's a health certificate. It's a really, really, really good idea. Chapeau. You have to go and watch a couple of health and safety videos about your heart health, what to do in times of stress. It's a really good idea. You do that. You get a certificate, you get a QR code, you bring that with you to get your bib. The bib is slightly funny. They keep calling it the withdrawal of the bib, and you see all this stuff and think, oh, I'm not in the race, it's the withdrawal. But actually, the withdrawal is getting the bib. But it's really good. Everything is bilingual. So it's the 39th Marathon des Châteaux du Médoc, 6th of September 2025. I wish I spoke good French. I don't. I can mumble a few words. There's various things in the program. There's all sorts of events and drinking and eating and drinking. There's plenty of that. This thing is, I'm just reading these various ones. It says you have to have your, oh yeah, that's in French. I'll do the bit in English. So on the Friday between 10 and 11, you turn up in Lavalier, Verrerie, in Pauillac is the town, I think. And God, I'm murdering the French. But you've got to produce your PPS, your registration details, and passport or ID card. You have to do that. Bibs have to be pushed in front, and it talks about runners running with a cart. So people, God knows what will be in here. There's 6 checkpoints. The time allowed to complete the Médoc Marathon is 6 hours and 30 seconds. A broom tank of the organization closes the race. This is really well written. You're in front, you're in the race. You're behind, you're out of the race. There's no gray area here. It's really good. Yeah, bicycles are forbidden. There's some security checks, all this sort of stuff. The town is actually a very small town, and that causes complexities of its own, in that it was very hard to find accommodation. There's a lot of camping and things that, but we found an Airbnb, but very, very limited supply of Airbnb. We've managed to find it. I've been appointed an ambassador to Sports Tours International, and this looks like one of those ones where going with a tour company will be much easier, because you'll be accommodated in a town elsewhere and bust in and out, whereas we're staying, I think we can fall out of bed and you roll over to the finish line. But you will find for our refreshments, I found this really strange. There's water, that's not strange. There's cola. I've only drunk cola in a marathon once, in the New York Marathon. I drank my 500 milliliters and had a turkey sandwich when the wheels come off the wagon. Get off some orange, banana des Antilles Françaises, some French, I don't know what that, a French banana. There's Lou biscuits. I've had those before. They're really nice. And there's sugar cubes. I think Chris pointed out that horses eat sugar cubes, but I won't be taking a neat sugar cube, I don't think. Who knows? And a few other bits and pieces. They talk about medical assistance. It's really important. Medical assistance is really, really important, and it's there, and that you know where it is. All that kind of stuff is on my mind. There's a village expo. I have no idea what will be in the expo. I watch the Tour de France every year. I've watched it live when it came to Dublin, because it starts usually in overseas, or it often starts in other countries. It is gigantic caravan that goes in the front of all these French companies advertising French things and throwing out French bits and treats and all that kind of stuff. So I have no idea. Maybe just something similar like that there. And there's all sorts of talks about wine, you know, and all that, the terroir, all that sort of stuff. There's what's called a jeu de piste. That's a piste, all right. But there's a treasure hunt sometime around there. There's a Sunday walk. I can't remember what we signed up for. We signed up for various things in the evening. So that should be a good bit of fun there. It is my training for all of this has been very sporadic. This summer I spent making another channel about James Joyce and making James Joyce related videos. And I ran a lot of races. I think I ran the Dambusters 10 miles with my nephew Jack. I ran the Brandon Bay half marathon with John and my friend Liam. And they were both great races as part of the build up. I was also trying to manage my knee, and also I started strength training, which has been really super. One of the best things I've ever done. I've been doing a lot of strength training, which at my age 62, you really need to be doing. You should be probably doing it for running anyway, but I was always too lazy. But I joined the class, and it's something I'm hugely enjoying. So combining all those, this is not my best preparation. And later in the year, I'm doing the Athens Marathon, and this will be my 4th marathon this year. I think it'll be I'll have done 4 half marathon races. I did a 10-mile race. I did 800 meters all out as part of a world record thing in Japan. It's been a lot of running races, and the Athens Marathon will be tough. And I'm kind of using this as a build up towards that. And we'll just see how it goes. I'll have more details in the next one. I'll show pictures here of myself and Chris. The audio is completely unusable, but at least you'll get to have a look at Chris and not too much of me. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one, probably in a couple of days as Chris and I get a bit more tense towards the off, and we go through a little bit about the costumes then. See you in a couple of days. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of September, 2025. Le Marathon des Châteaux du Médoc is in 3 days' time, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. I fly tomorrow morning. Flying to France is fairly easy, at least for here. Fly to Bordeaux. It's pretty much, I suppose, most people are going to go to by TGV or the train or some way. Bordeaux is the sort of main city nearby. And then I think we get a tram from the airport into the city, and then I think we get a local train. That's essentially how myself and Chris are going to get there. I'm organizing it so that I meet Chris at the airport and we depart at the airport, either side. That's how we're going to roll. You may have noticed it is fancy dress. The theme is the sea, and so I am wearing this or proposing to wear this somewhat ridiculous hat. There's it's the full fishy. I had to drill holes in it because it's quite padded at the front, and I was afraid it'd get very, very sweaty. The weather forecast is to be 32 degrees centigrade. Hey Siri, what's 32 degrees centigrade in Fahrenheit? See how that works. 89.6 Fahrenheit. So it'll be fairly hot. the marathon I did at the start of the year, the Polar Night Marathon, was -9. This one is going to be so quite a range. It won't be that hot early on in the day, but it will rise. I mean, I'm guessing it'll start at 18, 20 degrees, which is still very hot for a marathon, and it'll roll on. What that means is a couple of things. It is fancy dress. Chris has got some Nemo costume. I don't know what Bev has got on. I think he's going to be a fried fish by the end of it. So I drilled holes in this cap and put these metal things in to let ventilation in. It adds a tiny bit of weight. I'm thinking they'll all heat up and burn little whole donuts on my scalp. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Look, if it is, I'll douse water over it. I think there could be a fair amount of dousing water over it. I'll also have a high-vis jacket saying I'm a Visual Sports Ireland. And then I will have a vest underneath it, probably my standard bandit singlet that I like wearing so much. And then I will have a pair of shorts. I'm going to wear a pair from knee down. The reason I'm going to wear them is I'm carrying this, or I'm planning to carry this. I'll have a microphone. I'm wearing a microphone now. This is an Insta360. This is a telescopic rod. This will give 360 degree stuff. There's a variety of other things in there that I'll be bringing that probably, and it weighs a fair amount. I'm trying to lighten the load as much as possible, whilst also trying to film it. A couple of things about the marathon, because it's through all of these vineyards, you don't really want to just say, I'll run, I won't stop it, I won't take any wine, and I'll get to the end and I'll feel good. No, that's not the plan. I'm not saying it'll be little and often. I'm kind of in my head thinking that we'll go 30K and then we'll just enjoy ourselves. But it might be that along the way we stop here and there. But it's going to be very hot. Because it's very hot, I'm trying to save weight, apart from the silly hat. I'm trying to save weight. I might run in my Vaporfly 4s rather than my the North Face Vective Pro 3s. I love that shoe. Vaporfly is really light. I know over some of the gravel stretches, I'll catch gravel. But I think we'll be stopping at all these sort of vineyards and we'll be taking things out, stones out of the shoes. I think that's what I'm going to try and do. Lightweight shorts. But what all that means is, in the previous marathons I've run with Chris in the half marathon, I've worn my on-running 5 litre vest with hydration jacket with water in it. But that just gets really heavy, and you sweat more, it gets heavier, and then we do it usually so that Chris and I can stay away from the general madness of feeding stations. But ultimately, I think if we do, we'll be missing out, because all of these various things they put out, the wine obviously, but there's all sorts of other things. And I think I'm just going to plan to, as long as I stay away from ahead of the sweeping van. If I'm in the front, I'm in the race, and if I'm behind, I'm not in the race. As long as I stay in there with Chris, we'll be fine. 6.5 hours is plenty of time to get this done. This is not a performance target. It's an enjoyment target. I'm not sure what Bev's view is, but she may be going faster than either of us. And either way, we'll just see visions of getting to the end and suddenly seeing Bev and saying, "Where's Chris? I thought you had him." So anyway, it'll be great. It'll be great. I know there'll be none of that. We've had no disasters so far. I'm not expecting any this time. It's very hard to find the exact elevation of the course. It's through rolling hills. It goes off into vineyards, so it's not always on the road. And it looks like it changes year to year. I've looked up the course here and there from various years, and it changes slightly. My guess is it's because some years it goes into certain vineyards and some years it doesn't. That's what it looks like. The general structure seems to be the same. The town is on the western side of the river, and then you kind of go south for 10K, and then you go north for 10K. Well, you actually go across, then up for 10K. Let's say you go south for 10K, across for a K, up for 20K, across for a K, and back down 10K to the start-finish line. That's roughly how it works, and it's a nice way of thinking about it, which means whatever winds they are, if there's headwinds, there's tailwinds, if there's tailwinds, there's headwinds, if there's side winds, etc. You get the drill. But it should be really good. I will be really looking forward to it. The weather is a challenge. But look, marathon running is a challenge, and this is one of the world's great marathons. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on around it. I will have this Insta360 all over the place. This will be 360 to death. But actually, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to making running the thing, seeing Chris, seeing Bev, enjoying France. France is a great country. I mean, when I play back tape, I've murdered the language so badly. I apologize. I love French. I love French movies. I love watching things in French and the subtitles and all that. But I'm just not particularly any good at it. Like marathon running. Always room for improvement. And yeah, we'll see you in the review video.